You actually talked about that in next episode.
Let me start that just section.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do that. So I Yay, you're here. Welcome to How to Be a Grown-Up with CK and GK. Let's get started.
Hello, America. It's Tuesday.
It is
Election day.
Election Tuesday. This is a big deal. I am anxious. I am very anxious today, as I'm sure many of you are. So, we're glad you're here. This is going to be a space of less anxiety, right? But today, you are back in your 8th grade civics class, learning the things that I, someone like me, a former social studies teacher, probably taught you, and you may or may not have been paying attention and or remember. So this is how we pick our president, folks. This is what's happening today.
But first, with me is Caitlin, who we could rename Chad because she's always good to hang. I wrote that one.
That's a good one. Well done. You wrote it yourself?
I wrote it.
Well, she's exercised her right to vote. She is a powerfully awesome lady. That's Jenny, everyone.
Thanks, guys. All right. So, my sources today are the literal Constitution.
Yes. Well done. Civics teacher me says, well done.
But there's lots of great articles on this that are written at a very accessible level on the National Archives and USA.gov. But yeah, like John Adams is like the author here.
Thomas Jefferson. John Hancock.
Yeah. I'm like literally quoting Benjamin Franklin. So okay. All right. So first off, When is the next presidential election? It's today, November 5th. We elect a president every 4 years on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. So much like Thanksgiving, it's one of these weird, like when the moon is in retrograde
Tuesday
and
after the first Monday.
Yeah.
That's why you'll never have one on November 1st if November 1st is a Tuesday, because
it's not after the first Monday.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so I have a little table of data for us. This is a timeline of the 4-year election cycle, okay? We are only talking about how we pick our president. Yes, there are lots of other elections, and let me go on the record right now of saying your local elections are more important than the 4-year presidential election.
In the sense that your personal life is more impacted by your local elections. If you don't think that matters, you're
missing a chance in civics. Yeah, you're missing a chance to actually make decisions that impact you on a daily basis.
Right. That's your local elections are how the other issues get escalated up and up and up the chain. Yeah. You have to pay attention if schools matter to you, if local taxes matter to you, if transportation matters to you, vote in your local election.
Okay. So, soapbox, stepping down. Now I'm here to talk to you about how we elect a president. Okay, so in the spring of the year before the election, so spring in this case of 23, candidates register with the Federal Election Commission. Now, there is no deadline to register. Okay, so, but this is about the same time is in the spring of the year before. So about 18 months in advance, candidates are starting to register. If I wanted to run for president, I could register 2 months before the election if I wanted. Okay. I'm not going to. Okay. No. During the same time, they announced their candidacy. If you are registering with the Federal Election Commission, that's public knowledge, so people know you're running. So you announce it, but like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So during that summer, moving into the spring of the election year. So for us, it would have been the summer of 23, moving into the spring of 24. This is when primary and caucus debates happen. Okay. This is when states start to think about what candidate their party wants to be represented by.
It's important that you said debate there. This is not a decision. This is the discussion about what the decisions will be. Right. This is the thinking before the decision.
Okay. So then in the first half of the election year, so again, for 2024, it would have been January through June of 24, we start to have presidential primaries and caucuses. This is when the decisions are actually made of what candidate will represent a party.
Okay.
Now, you can run without a party support. You don't have to be represented by a party. Running for president costs millions of dollars. So you probably need a party backing you, but I mean, Ross Perot, like I got $4 billion. Like he did his own thing. Okay.
Yeah.
During the summer, between July and September, parties start having conventions, taking all this data of primary and caucuses from different states and deciding as a party together who their candidate will be. This is also when that candidate selects and announces their vice presidential running mate.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's of the election year.
That is the summer of the election year.
Understood.
Okay. So then for the 2 months leading up to the election, this is when you start to see debates, both between vice president and presidential candidates.
Yes.
Okay. Election day, as we said, is the first Tuesday after the first Monday. So in this case, it's today, November 5th. But it could be as late as what, November the 8th? And as early as the 2nd.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is when it gets hairy. This is the part where people are like, wait, what? I don't understand. In December, the electors of the Electoral College, asterisks here, I'm about to explain that in detail. In December, the Electoral College cast their votes. Congress gets together in January. So for us, it will be January of 25 to count the electoral votes. And then on the 20th of January every year, even if it's after the first Monday, is the presidential inauguration day.
Yes.
Okay. January 6th was a really big day because of some people trying to interrupt the count.
Yes.
Okay. So that's why it happened in January, because that was when Congress was having a joint session to do the count. Okay. The count of what? This is the Electoral College. This is the part where people are like, wait, what? No, this is so dumb. I don't understand it. We need to do away with it. It doesn't make sense. Or, oh yeah, this is a perfect system. We love it. It's amazing. It was actually neither. It comes out of a compromise, which if you study the framing of our country, man, did we know how to compromise back then.
Oof.
There were some times that we made really poor decisions on compromises, like saying that a person of color is only worth 3/5 of a white person.
Oh my God, so gross.
But that was a compromise. Okay.
It's so gross.
So disgusting. Okay. But this one was like people actually crossing the aisle and figuring things out. Okay. When the founding fathers wrote the Constitution, there was a group that wanted Congress to elect the president. And there was a group that wanted the general public to elect the president.
Yes.
So what do you do when you can't decide? You eat both desserts. Okay. So they just did both. The way this works is you, as a member of the general public, cast a vote. And then the Electoral College also casts a vote. The Electoral College is not a place. It's not like the Agricultural and Mechanical College of Texas.
Oh my, I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to do that. And I just, yeah, no.
It is actually a process. Okay.
Yes.
First, there is the selection of the electors. Then the electors meet. And then there is the counting of the votes. The Electoral College has 538 electors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in order to be elected president, you must have a majority of those votes.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot just have the most. You must have a legal majority, which in this case is 270 electoral votes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is why people say like, oh, it'll split your vote. They're talking about if there's more than two candidates, someone could possibly have the most votes, but not a majority thereof.
Right.
Okay. So the electors, the number is calculated based on how many members of Congress you have, how many reps in the House, and your two senators.
Yes.
But the number is not exactly the same as if we just added up the numbers members of the House and Senate, because Washington, D.C. also gets to talk in this election.
Fair point. Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you have been there in the last 10 years, but their license plates might still say taxation without representation. Okay. So if you happen to live in the District of Columbia, like actually have an address in D.C., there's not someone in Congress voting for you.
No, there's not.
But in the Electoral College, there are 3 electors from Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks to the 23rd Amendment of the Constitution.
Only 23 down. I mean, hey. Women got the right to vote before they did. So yeah.
Okay. So the group of electors are on what we call a slate. And the slate is normally chose by the candidate's political party. Okay. But every state has different laws on how they choose their electors. This is part of the balance between the Federalists and the we want to have states' rights group. What was that? The other one?
Anti-Federalists? I believe those are the two. Someone wasn't paying attention in her civics class. This is why I am not the one doing the lesson, because it's more impactful when it comes from someone who had to study to learn this material.
I'm gonna pee. That is so good. Okay. Yes. The anti-federalists. So every state gets to choose.
Professional podcasters, fact adjacent content.
Okay.
You're so welcome.
Most states have a winner-take-all system. So whoever wins the popular vote in your state, all your electors vote for that person. Right. But Maine and Nebraska both have a proportional representation. So they actually look at how the votes came out and then cast that way. Also, Nebraska is the only state with a unicameral legislature. That is the only thing I remember from my poli-sci class my freshman year of college.
Tell someone what that means, Jen.
Instead of having 2 houses in their legislature, they only have 1. So they don't have reps and senators. They just have lawmakers.
Yes. Uni 1.
Right.
There you go.
So that's what I learned in poli-sci 20 years ago. That's what I remember. Okay. So after the general election happens, again with the Wednesdays and the Tuesdays, the electors meet on the first Tuesday after the second Wednesday in December.
I know what we should do. Complicate this process even more with weird dates.
So, you know, Thanksgiving happens on the third Thursday after the first Monday. Election Day happens on the first Tuesday after the first Monday. And now the meeting of the electors happens on the first Tuesday after the second Wednesday.
Why did I think it was just the third Thursday?
It's not. It's the third Thursday after the first Monday.
Ugh. All right.
Okay. So
good to know.
All right. So there's the electors vote on the first Tuesday after the second Wednesday in December. And then there's a joint session of Congress in January on the 6th, where the members of the House and the Senate meet in the House chamber because it's a bigger room, right? And they actually count the electoral votes. Guys, because most of the states have the winner-take-all system, for the most part, we can predict how the election is going to go based on election day.
That's why
Maine and Nebraska really don't play that much of a role in the decision making.
No, their numbers are small. That's why, like, when you're watching election day coverage, that's why you'll see the votes.
Right.
When they say, like,
California went to blue.
California goes for, yeah, exactly.
Well,
that's what they're doing.
California has more electoral votes than, say, I don't know, Iowa?
Nebraska? Iowa.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
because,
Maine,
and why do they have
Island.
more? Because they have more representatives in the House. Because again, that was a compromise. Some states were small and they said, we want to have a same voice. And they said, okay, we'll create the Senate where everybody has 2 representatives. That's equal. Then we'll have the House that's based on population. So more people live in Texas, more people are represented in the House, but we all have 2 senators, again, with the compromising. Okay.
Right.
So during this vote count in the House chamber, the president of the Senate is presiding. That president of the Senate declares which persons have been named president and vice president.
Okay.
Trivia.
Oh, dear.
How do we select the president of the Senate?
I don't remember.
They are the vice president.
Oh, yeah.
So
that makes me look really bad.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So this is really interesting because the Speaker of the House is elected by the House, right?
Right.
It's a representative who then is elected to speak and serve as the presiding officer in the House. But in the Senate, the president of the Senate is the vice president of the United States.
Vice president. Right. Which is why, and I think also that's part of the whole people viewing the vice president as not having very much power sort of thing. But when you actually come down to, if there is a tie in the Senate, it comes down to the vice presidential vote.
Right.
So that it's kind of a big deal. Why did I not remember that? Because we've literally just heard about this, because that's been a part of the information in this election cycle. So,
well, and that,
my apologies.
It is,
there we go.
It is relevant to the 2024 election because the sitting vice president is running for president.
Right.
So she has the duty of announcing whether she won or didn't.
Boom.
Okay.
Kind of a cool power. Just saying.
It'll be an interesting day. Okay. So then, and again, like, it's a little anticlimactic because with the exception of like a couple of times in US history, we can pretty much predict on election night where things are going. Okay. Now, the president-elect takes the oath of office on January the 20th and is sworn in as president of the United States. So we started this journey in the spring of the previous year. Yep. And then in January of the next year, not year B, but year C,
right?
We have a new sitting president.
This is why those text messages that you get for your party start
a long time ago.
What feels like a year before the election. Yes. Do you not have any idea how much of a relief it's going to be when those text messages start coming? The number of times I've replied back, stop. Yes. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, no, I just reply back, I live in a country where I'm allowed to vote on a secret ballot. I will not be telling you how I'm voting.
If you are my husband, you reply back with very unkind text messages.
Yes.
It's entertaining.
In 2020, okay, so like COVID, people were knocking on doors, and they'd knock on your door and then they'd stand 8 feet away or whatever. John finally told someone, if your party knocks on the door again, I am voting for the other party. Take me off your visitation list. I am tired of getting masked up and opening the door.
Coming to the door.
For you to tell me who I should vote for. I don't even care.
Canvassing.
I don't even care who you represent.
If
you come to my door again, I'm voting against you.
That's almost like that's like an Etsy sign.
Yes.
Right? Like someone should make that Etsy sign. Come to my door to solicit my vote. I'm voting for the other party. Yes. Please keep moving.
I remember many, many years ago, we're out front in our house digging out a pipe that had been like burst, sort of, because our crepe myrtle tree had put its roots through the plastic.
Yeah, that
PVC.
happened to my parents.
Okay?
Yeah, that happened to my parents.
And we learned about this because the roots were then blocking the pipe and everything exploded back into our house. Toilets blew off their seals, our tubs filled with sewage. It was disgusting. So we had a plumber come out and he said, look, guys, I don't normally tell people this, but if you do all the digging, you'll save yourselves about $500. If I come out and all I have to do is replace the pipe and, put new toilets in and new wax seals and all that.
And everything else.
But he was like, look, a huge part of this quote is me getting out there and digging this pipe out.
Wow. Good for him for telling you.
It was really nice. So John and I are on our hands and knees digging through sewage mud to get this pipe. And someone is canvassing for a local election. State representative, I think. And she says, oh, what are you guys working on? And we explain the whole thing. And she says, man, I sure wish the state of Texas could help you with that. And I just look at her and I was like, no, I do not want the state of Texas to help me with my plumbing bill. Because I don't want the state of Texas to help other people with their plumbing bills. And I don't want to pay for the state of Texas to help other people with their plumbing bills.
That feels like a really bad decision to say that. Don't you think?
I mean, that was nice to the lady, but I was like, no, don't offer for the state to fix this one.
That's not, and also, wouldn't that be a local issue and not ever? Never mind.
Also, do I really want to wait for Congress to tell me when I can change my plumbing?
It's already bad enough that you have to get permitting that takes 6 months for your own home stuff. No, I don't want an act of God to be the reason that I get to fix sewage. Good Lord, no.
All right, let's take a break.
For links to resources mentioned in this episode, head on over to ckandgkpodcast.com/blog to find everything you need. And be sure to follow us on social media. Head over to your favorite social media network and find us at CKNGK Podcast. And now, back to the show.
Okay, we're back. I hope that during the break you voted, if you did not already do early voting.
Early voting for the win,
early
man.
Voting is pretty great. In the state of Texas, early voting, you can vote anywhere in your county. You do not have to vote right at your precinct.
Yeah, that's super helpful.
If you vote on election day, I think you have to vote at one of your precinct houses. I don't think it has to be exactly the same one. I think you have a approved list. It used to be you could only vote at your precinct house, but I think that's changed.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are just in it for the Instagram sticker, so they go on.
Oh, well, you know what? I accidentally got 2 one time, and I put one in my bag, and I'm saving it in case I forget to vote. I can still look like I did.
Ew, no forgetting to vote.
I'm kidding.
Oh no, I take 2 because I do it for the election day, and then I wear it on the day that I actually went and early voted.
See,
So
there you go.
also, we're not going to get into a discussion about mail-in voting, but do what works for you and what's available in your state to
Right.
make sure that your
Yeah,
vote gets counted.
Vote. Now, also know that in order to register to vote, you often, in many states, have to do that before election day. In Texas, the deadline was October the 7th.
Right. There are a lot of, well, not a lot. There are several states where you
Just
can
walk up
vote.
and vote.
You walk up and vote. You register that day.
Yeah.
But Texas is not one of them.
So if you happen to live in Texas and you forgot to register to vote, just move real fast.
Across state lines.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. So before the break, I was telling you about my sewage mud that I had to dig through. Ironically, I had already decided that the obsession I was going to share this week was dirty water.
Please explain, because I'm grossed out.
It is so disgusting and so great. What is the word that people say? Satisfying? It's satisfying?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the thing. Abigail, as you know, plays flag football. She has 2 pairs of grippy football gloves. One that's her practice pair, one that's her game pair.
Oh, okay.
I soaked them in OxyClean overnight, and I'm telling you, that water looked like iced tea. It was so disgusting and amazing.
Is that like, does it have borax in it? OxyClean? Does it have, because there's the people who tell you to strip your pillows and you put them in the tub and you put borax in there and it will like completely turn your water gross.
Grody. I took the gloves out and hung them to dry, but saved the water because I cannot wait to show Abby how gross her gloves were.
I can't. That's nasty. Ew. Like this color, like the color of my clip.
Darker.
Yeah.
Darker.
Ooh,
no,
gross.
It looks like a glass of tea. It was not.
That's disgusting.
No, it was. You can't see the bottom of the bin. And these are gloves that she uses for football. It's not like they were muddy.
She's putting her hands in those every time.
It's so grody. It's so gross. And it was amazing.
So gross. That's so gross. Okay. Well, mine is also related to my gem.
Oh.
So for Mother's Day, I think it was this year, I got an acupressure mat from my husband.
Do you love it?
I really do. I really do. And if you don't know what an acupressure mat is, I'm doing, this is going to be called show and tell from now on, because that's what we're doing. But like, it's a super spiky, I have a pillow like that goes underneath my neck and I have a mat. And most of the time, most mornings I have built into my work schedule that I will take 10 minutes to meditate, which sounds a little kooky and I'm not necessarily the best at it.
Do you have your granola before or after your meditation?
After? Yeah.
When do you find time to make handmade soap?
After I make my skirts out of wheat.
Okay. Also, I'm not going to make fun of meditation. Remember, I almost joined a meditation cult, or I kind of did join a meditation
You
cult.
kind of did join it.
Then I unjoined.
Yeah. But then you unjoined. So I like keep like a rock and like a stone in my hand just to have something to hold on to because I get fidgety. But
is it a special stone, like one that you found, or like you bought it, or like what kind of stone is this?
No, it came from remember when I got a gift from parents and it was like, I was like, why is this so heavy? It feels like there's rocks in here.
There were.
And it's because they had given me crystals.
No, there really were rocks.
Yeah, there were rocks in it. So it's one of those and I just hold it in my hand. And that way, if I get fidgety, I can kind of like mess with that as opposed to, not paying attention. And it's not easy for me to do. My brain goes a million miles an hour as yours does. It's the ADHD. It's the meditation's hard. It's all of those things. But I lie on the acupressure mat and it really does feel a lot better. It's something else to focus on, if that makes any sense. Like, cause I'll, have to arrange my neck so it doesn't hurt me, but it does actually feel really good on my neck. And I will find that if I just lie on it for 10 minutes a day, it feels really nice. It's almost like it just, again, changes the focus and like the nerve stimulation or whatever, but I really love it. But my gem is that, I have 2 cats that are 2 years old and the one that you think is the naughty one, who like does like little tiny things to get himself into trouble, is not the naughty one. The naughty one is the sweet one. He's the one who climbs up the shelves that are very high on my office and like plays with fake flowers and then knocks the vase onto the floor at 2 a.m.
No.
And that's a real thing that happened. Yes. So he decided he was going to climb up onto the desk, which is not very high. It's a desk, whatever. As I was doing my meditation lying on my acupressure mat, and he jumped from the desk onto my stomach while I was lying on the mat.
Oh
no! I had like stamps on my back. I'm like, so I have
oh my gosh, this is middle-aged tramp stamps.
How'd you get all those scars? It looks like chicken pox.
No,
my cat jumped on me
while I was meditating on my acupressure mat.
My acupressure mat. Yeah, so I have all these I have these teeny tiny little scabs on my back. They're going away now, so it's pretty smooth now, but this was just like a couple days ago, and I had all these little divots. It was not great. But I was like, this, and he's like my sweet angel baby who cuddles with me at night and like it puts his little face like on my chin and stuff. He's so sweet. And then I'm like, you turd, like get away from me. I mean,
my mom is really into Stephen King, and there was one night where she's up in bed because she has insomnia, and she's reading It.
I hate that book. I hate that movie. I hate clowns because of that book and that movie.
Jumped on her chest as she is reading this book.
That would make me
I was not even awake, but I remember her telling the story the next morning so vividly that it lives in my brain.
Nightmare fuel. That would freak me
out.
Ooh, but cats just have a way of like really bringing you back down to earth. Because I was actually like focused on the meditation. He's like, concentrate on your breath. I'm like, I'll show you what I can concentrate on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, don't tell me what to do. But I was actually doing it, and then Ty jumped on my stomach and
bad kitty
hurt me. Bad kitty. Okay, do you have a gem?
I do. We have some words in our house that come from a time where we were still learning to speak, right? You know that the room upstairs is the meteor room because it's
the meteor room. Yeah, sure.
When you're cold, you grab a flanket. If you want to change the channel, you use the kermoke.
Enemans.
Yes.
We don't have M&Ms in our house. We have enemans.
Yes, exactly.
And yogurt beans.
Yogurt beans. Exactly.
Yes.
So the newest one is what you do when you're trying to dissociate and you have nothing else to focus on, and you sit there with your phone and you flip through Insta or TikTok or YouTube Shorts or whatever. You are doom squirreling.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh. Doom squirreling. Very cute. Okay, well, don't doom squirrel. Do go vote. Bye.
Hey friends, thanks for listening to the CK and GK podcast. Find us at CK and GK podcast on Instagram and Twitter, and rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or anywhere else that you pod. See you next time.